It's the type of training you want to have, but you hope you never have to use, being prepared for an active shooter situation. Curtis Sprague is an instructor who teaches people how to protect themselves in a worst-case scenario. He's here with us this morning with advice that could help save a life, and you have a strong background, Curtis. Thank you, first of all, for being here with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate your time. U.S. Army veteran, you worked as a SWAT officer, federal air marshal, an instructor for air marshals, and now you train police, military, and everyday folks like me.
Yes, whenever I can, for sure.
Well, you don't have to have a law enforcement or military background to be able to protect yourself in one of those worst case scenarios. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I think people make the mistake of assuming that it's never going to happen to them, and we clearly can see that it can happen anywhere. It seems to be happening everywhere right now, and I think if people would just take a few minutes and make a plan, that could go a long way to their survival. There are resources available for you out there. There's training here in Tulsa. I know some great and talented professionals that offer training. You know, I know a gun is not for everybody, but if it is, there's training available for you. If a gun is not for you, there's training available for you as well. You can go into the DHS.gov website, and there's a program they have called Run, Hide, Fight that gives everybody tools to use to help survive a violent confrontation, whether you choose to carry a firearm or not.
Let's talk about the Run, Hide, Fight, and as well, I have on the screen here your top advice there at the bottom. Talk about those things and what that means.
So, regardless of where you are, whether you're at work or you're out in public at a restaurant or a shopping center, keep your options available to you. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Detecting a threat at the earliest possible opportunity is key to your survival. If you cannot be there when it happens, that's the best thing. And detecting those threats because you're paying attention to suspicious behavior or whatever is going to go a long way to your survival. So if you're in a tall building on an upper level, there's always a way out. Typically, the shooter, your bad guy, will typically use the main entrance. Not always, but that's usually how it goes. But there's not many places out there that don't have a secondary entrance or exit for you to go out of. Be aware of where those are. If you're in a restaurant, position yourself where you can see the main entrance, but also have access to an exit door out the back. We rarely see people take the trash out the front door. There's always an a back door to go out of. So know where those are, and when you see a threat, have a plan to get away. If you can't get away, then your next option is to hide and try to wait it out if you can. But if you do that, anticipate being found and have a plan to fight as a last resort. And that's my best advice.
What does fighting look like in that situation? You know, you're at work, you don't, or you're at a concert and you're just having fun or whatever it may be. You don't have a weapon and this other person does. How do you approach that situation?
Well, you just have to have a mindset of survival. Think about your family, whatever it is that's important to you that you want to get home to. It may be your dogs, it may be your kids or your other family members. Keep those in the forefront of your mind and know that you're going to survive. And having that survival mindset is a great tool for you. You can't just give up because that person is armed and you aren't. You can think of improvising weapons with things that you can find laying around. These chairs that we're sitting in could be a weapon. The pen laying in front of you could be a weapon. So just keep that mindset and know that you have options available to you aside from just giving up and letting the bad guy decide your fate.
I can't even imagine what that situation would be like, but I would think your adrenaline is going. Are you even really able to think, or is it just kind of instinctive actions at that point? It's
a good point that you bring up, but I'll tell you that your body will go where your brain has been. So if you've considered similar situations, just daydreaming or playing these scenarios out in your head, that's great training for you because you're actually installing plans into your subconscious to survive that. So anytime you can visualize these things and have something to fall back on to get you out of it, it's invaluable.
It's great advice, and I know we don't want to live in fear, but we do live in a world where we do need to be prepared.
Sure, we have to accept the fact that there's evil out there. There are bad people out there that will not hesitate to take your life. They don't value it. So you have to accept that fact and then have a plan and a willingness to survive it. You don't have to go through life fearful, but you can be prepared to deal with it.
Curtis, thank you. Again, we hope we never have to use any of the advice you gave, but appreciate you taking the time to share with us what
Thank you for having me.